Hello everyone and welcome and thanks for joining today's webinar, Sitefinity 15.3 release webinar. Many of you know that we already have released Sitefinity 15.3. In fact, we did it 20 days ago, and chances are that you've already looked at the release notes and the what's new page. Maybe you've read about it. Maybe some of you have tried it, but it's also an opportunity for us to get through a couple of slides, give you some information why we went in this direction and whom we are trying to help with those capabilities that we're introducing in the product, and show you how the product works. If you have questions, put them in the chat in the questions panel. We'll try to answer them offline. And starting a webinar is, it's sometimes hard, it's sometimes easy, depending on how you want to begin it, and sometimes we need a bit of inspiration. And when I started doing this slide deck, and we'll have a couple of slides to show you, I was wondering where to begin. And so I heard those voices in my head. Marketing will know, because whenever there's something good happening at the company or something bad happening at the company, marketing will know, and the marketing will be always there to help with everything and anything. And the truth is that, everyone who is talking to marketing is often right, because, and you may have seen this slide in another webinar, but I realized that we are still at the intersection of so many different teams, from web design and UX to marketing operations to sales to SEO to sales enablement to partner ops, project management, product management as well. And everyone expects from us, whether we are creating content, working on campaigns, working on demand generation activities, or need to get our message out, to deliver on time, keep the quality high, and to know everything about anything, and really have a solution to the most pressing questions, and again, keep everything in line. And we often become a bottleneck, but we also need to rely on so many other teams in order to get things done. And I think that this is something that many enterprises just underestimate, or maybe do not pay a lot of attention to, thinking that once they've launched the website or they've launched their web presence, the job is done. In fact, this is where the journey begins. And as a result, in many cases, especially as the enterprise grows, as your business grows, as your web presence expands, you might see a ton of tickets piling up, support requests, and anything from minor website updates to building new pages, landing pages, piling up in terms of support requests to the design teams, content updates that are just filling the queue. And without proper enablement to the different teams, to the different units within the organization, whether you're working with an internal IT team, for example, or external partner, chances are that at some point you will see that tasks and projects tend to take some more time than anticipated. Wouldn't it be much easier to have full control of your web presence? Exactly, this is what drives us forward when we launch new Sitefinity versions, because for someone like me who's using the product on a daily basis, I want to be able to do the majority of the tasks and the projects and updates on my own. And we'll be talking about a couple of capabilities within the Sitefinity 15.3 that are now available to me if I want to go multilingual, if I want to quickly build pages across websites, if I want to scaffold content and get things just moving without any delays. Because there's something going on the market, and if you haven't been paying attention to your KPIs, whether you are supporting an enterprise as a Sitefinity partner or a digital agency, or you are leading a team of marketers within your organization, if you haven't been paying attention to some of the KPIs like overall traffic, like how much money you're spending on generating new leads or acquired new customers, how your free traffic fluctuates, and what's your cost of visit, maybe it's the right time to start paying attention to those KPIs, because they will change the way you do, I would say, business, or you plan your campaigns and manage your web presence in the long run. because there's definitely certain dynamics. We've seen those internally. We also seen them externally through reports like this one that I've listed. And it's really important to know that part of the reason is probably beyond your control, beyond our control as marketers. In fact, this is what's happening on Google, for example. Google in 2025 are playing with AI snippets so much that essentially they've limited the external links on their search results page to like 7 versus 31 internal links that are driving traffic to their internal pages, keeping the audience browsing Google instead of driving traffic to your website, which is one challenge at some point we as marketers need to address. It's a similar story with, for example, LLMs like ChatGPT, where we see people spending more time researching products and services and trying to do deep research or just playing with ChatGPT and spending more time there than actually going to a enterprise website or to the website of a brand and interacting with the content on the website. These are challenges that require marketers like us to rethink where we focus, where we spend our time. And obviously the easiest thing for us is to start using Gen AI or to start using AI in one shape or another to achieve a couple of things. Scaffold content, drive automation, and probably simplify repetitive things. So it used to be very time-consuming to write a white paper, to prepare for a webinar, to write a blog post. With the help of AI, at least the research can be done quite easily. So you can scaffold some content, get the topics that you want to cover in a webinar or a white paper or a blog post, and then focus on perfecting this. Now, you will get caught, let's be honest, you'll get caught if you just rely on AI to do the hard work for you. But Gen AI does make sense in the context of helping you get to speed as quickly as you can, so you can really focus on other more strategic stuff like working with other teams to improve the web presence, to understand where the friction points in the journey, to understand what are the opportunities to help your customers stay for longer and so you can retain them for longer. So AI is here to help. And a question that you might hear someone on your team asking, just like us, even our senior manager product marketing would ask the team, is how we can implement AI right within our CMS, so we are not interrupting the content operations, and we're not adding complexity, and we are not going to we are not deferring to with ad hoc tools to get something that could potentially be embedded in our CMS. Why? Because from this perspective, productivity is important, but also custom development or configuration could be costly, and more businesses and more enterprises are really cautious about maintaining the healthy balance between cost and benefit and value, so they can maintain a great ROI. So here's where I will ask Julian, our sales engineer, who I didn't introduce and I just realized it, to help me answer Asa's question. Can we integrate AI right into Sitefinity? What are the benefits? How long would it take? And what tools do I have as a marketer at my disposal to automate things and to scaffold new content, or maybe reduce the number of repetitive tasks that I would normally do on a daily basis, like proofreading content, optimizing, summarizing, or maybe something else. So Julian, shall we try to answer Asa's question?
Absolutely, and for that, I'll be your content editor today. So I'll take on and draft a page from scratch. Let me quickly take over the screen, and we can definitely answer Asia's question as we go along with a little scenario. But yes, we have a multitude of tools in Sitefinity 15.3. So we have, of course, from earlier versions, the general content generation capabilities, but on top of that, we now have a lot of content improvement tools. So we are not forced to just use whatever output ChatGPT is giving us. We can do a mixed approach. So take a scenario, we have our About Company page, and we see it ranks quite well in Google. For some reason, people looking for our restaurant chain, Coriander Lane, they end up on the company page, and we want to really improve that. And as most content editing experience start, someone wrote some copy, some good copy, probably much better than what I would ever be able to write. And swoosh, it comes flying in form of a Word document. And I'm just gonna copy that into this content block here. I have to trust the copywriter that they didn't use GenAI. Maybe they did. I won't be able to tell at this stage. But what we can definitely see, it's quite a bit of text. I mean, we can edit here. Maybe it's appropriate for a corporate company page, but it's a good deal of text. So my gut feel is maybe actually even especially on smaller form factors, this could be a bit too much text. So let's start and tailor this a bit using those GenAI tools. And this is where the productivity comes in, right? I mean, shortening text, probably we all remember maybe from uni days, can be the most difficult task. So what we could do, maybe this block of text to start off with is a bit long, so we can, in the rich text editor, just mark the entire thing and use our new AI tools. So as soon as I select some text in here, this context menu pops up and offers me various GenAI-based tools to improve that text. And here, my gut feel is this should maybe a bit more succinct. So I'll just start off and make this a bit shorter. Okay, that's about 2 lines saved. That's good. We could probably get it even more shorter with GenAI. You know, every request could be different, but I think this is already an improvement. If we look at certain phrasings here, they are really a bit more succinct. A few fillers with this to that end and so on, they are removed. So we can now compare these two and replace them in place in our rich context editor. This works, rich content editor, this works on a page. This also works with other content items. And here we've shortened this text. We can also do slightly more complex tasks with this context-aware AI menu. We can, for example, enforce brand guidelines. If we see we have a bit of copy here that is sort of representing us as a modern restaurant chain, and what we want to achieve is get across that we are catering to, say, younger audiences, to potentially more vegetarians, vegan customers, but we're careful with our wording here. Our brand guidelines clearly state that we should use plant-based instead of vegan, because we don't want to label people, we just want to describe our food. And so we can enforce that by using GenAI here. We can actually highlight this text again and then enforce our brand guidelines here, and in a second. So what we can see here is, for example, it replaced in this with an expansive menu that showcases plant-based dishes. We're replacing with an expansive menu that showcases vegan dishes. We don't want that label. We want to be inclusive in our language here, so we can just straight out replace that. And hereby, we're improving on the copy that we have been sent. A couple of blank lines I need to remove here. And now we can save that. But we've broken down this a bit, we've shortened this, and we applied our brand guidelines without actually having to go through this, well, one page of text really. And now this is added using the new tools. And I think Alex is going to get to that. You can actually set up your own tooling in here. You can set up your own, and this is maybe not the sexiest demo at this point, but you can define your own commands for AI for your content editors to use. But now I think back to Alex.
I think that defining custom prompts is really important, because at the end of the day, we'll have different needs. What are the benefits of having, for example, AI implemented straight into the CMS versus you switching to an external tool? And there are like dozens and hundreds of external tools. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, I mean, clearly visible. I'm not copy pasting between browser instances, right? I'm staying where the content is. I can add images in between, and like I still work with the text, right? I work with the editor. I can apply my own formatting quickly, but I never have to leave my page editor at this point, which is clearly beneficial.
I agree, but let's be honest, there are certain scenarios where you will work outside of the CMS, especially when you're working on a longer piece. It could be an asset, a PDF, a white paper documentation, something that you can use your word processor to work on. But once you build a page, I think that it's much easier to just go on a page and apply the changes. And actually, I just thought of something, because we have version control in revision history in Sitefinity. You can always revert back or use the content to personalize the widget, and I think that's great. On a slide, how it looks like Gen AI in Sitefinity on a page. Obviously, content generation, summarization, optimization, personalization, tagging, custom presets like brand guidelines. For me, something this is really important, because I used to use certain words that are not necessarily, just like Julian said, not necessarily labeling people, but let's see that we could use alternatives. So defining custom actions for me, or proofreading the content on the fly, is something that saves me a lot of time, because I don't have to go and talk to our corporate communications team. On the right-hand side of the slide, there's a Gen AI low-code workflows. We will cover those later, or are you going to cover this today? Because this is something, another productivity booster, and I think that we've already discussed this in previous webinar, but do you want to show it now, or keep it in the flow later?
Let's keep it in the flow later, and it'll make sense. I'll build on the example and we'll show it.
Awesome. Now that we've built the landing page, probably at some point we might need some help from another team member, and this is Nicola. He's a front-end developer. Now Nicola is working with like 20 different teams, 15 different PMKs, a dozen of product managers, CRO, SEO, all those different teams within a company, and has to be able to deliver on time. Sometimes releases happen virtually overnight, despite the lengthy planning cycles. So Nicole asked me this question: is there a way to directly edit page widgets, reuse section layouts across multiple sites, and maintain consistency across templates? Why? Because when you're working and when you're supporting dozens and hundreds of internal customers, we call them internal customers, you want to have those tools to boost your productivity and keeps things easier to maintain. So how, in the context of Nicola's challenges, would you, for example, demo what's new in Sitefinity 15.3 that can help him stay on track and keep his commitments?
Yeah, so I would actually combine a couple of things. We have, ever since we introduced the new renderers, the great tool of section presets. And for 15.3, we made them shareable across sites. And if we go back to our company page here, we have a wall of text. Let's be honest. It might be good copy, it might be AI improved copy, but it's a wall of text. And we have a bit of a small call to action down here in my massive full screen view here. It's visible, but in a smaller form factor, that button would be way below. So what we'd like to do maybe is make this call to action a bit more prominent. And for that, we're going to use a section preset in the new renderer. And for that, I'm going to change the page. First of all, I'm going to delete this button. We don't need it anymore. Let's get rid of it and let's improve. In our section, I will now make this a 2-column layout. And here you can see a bit on the fly. This is not new with Sitefinity 15.3, but this is the new renderer editing experiences. For those that haven't seen it, you get a lot more control here over how you work with the content without having to go back to development, without having to have templates developed for you. You really get a lot more control. And I'll modify the columns here a bit, add a bit of paddings, move this over, and here here comes the section preset. Let's actually keep this at 2/3, 1/3. Yeah, that's great. And now I could just add a widget, right? If somebody coded a widget template and made a great widget, fine. If it's there, fantastic. If not, we can also fall back onto section presets, which are ad hoc widgets. So any area, like somebody who's much more talented at design than I am might have created something that looks great, that can be reused in different places. They want to make this available as a section preset. And here for our call to action, we see we have a sort of card-based call to action layout that fits very well into this 2-column layout now. And now the button floats on the right rather than under the wall of text, and we have an image that sort of draws our attention, and we have a strong call here, reach out, have a question or craving, and this is what we are now reusing in this place instead of just a sad button. And yeah, as I said, maybe so you can see that briefly, behind the scenes sort of you can now share these section presets across sites. So if somebody built it out in a different multi-site environment, you can now share those in between, just like templates, just like any other content in these sites. But yeah, now greatly improved page. I'll publish and hand over back to you, Alex.
So let me just try to understand, and I need your help here. You mentioned widgets, you mentioned section presets. I've tried to summarize it on a slide, but when would you use a widget and a widget template, and when would you use a section presets? For example, when it comes to building layouts, complex layouts, or maybe repurposing content between websites, pages.
I mean, first of all, for both, reuse is the idea, right? And something that I can reuse in other places. For widgets, oftentimes I want to potentially guide the content editors a bit. So both are geared towards reuse, right? But for widgets, they offer the opportunity to first off provide more configuration, guided configuration. So content editors really can't do much wrong there. They can select, oh, this is the content I want to show in a cards view here, and I want to show 3 until it starts paging and so on. This type of configuration I can't do in section presets, but there's still a lot of areas, and especially over time, where content editors get quite creative, even with the means they have in the visual editor, in the page editor, and there is usually content that they want to reuse in other places, that they want to make available to other content editors. And for this ad hoc use case, section presets are actually really good.
I love it. And the reason why I love it is because whenever I'm creating a page and working on a page, I really want to spice it up a bit with something that I like from another page. So while I feel comfortable copying and pasting HTML or rebuilding a layout, section presets is something that saves me time. In fact, it would save me something like between 60 and 90% of the time, freeing up more time for meetings. Not that I enjoy them a lot, but it's part of the business, so we need to be everywhere, as you saw earlier. Speaking about widgets and about enabling marketers, here's another slide that I would like to have a look together with you and to walk me through those additional notable enhancements before we move to the next section and continue with our page updates journey. So what's your favorite from these ones? Because there's part of the release notes and something that we have incrementally improved.
Well, we're continuing our journey with Next.js, right? So we're getting onto feature parity with the core renderer, ASP.NET Core renderer, and this is definitely an ongoing journey, and it's quite an undertaking from a technical perspective, but I love the flexibility. I mean, you know, today I'm a content editor, but I'm coming from a software development background, so to me it's a nice and shiny tool because I'm from the JavaScript world, so it's good that we have these options for sure. Front-end search, we'll see some improvements there in a second, I believe. Super annoying, the downtime during re-indexing. You need to schedule it for off times, and having that fixed, I think, will be quite a highlight for some people.
So some of those will not be basically available to folks like me, or at least they will be transparent, but it's good to note that they are available in both our cloud and self-hosted deployments. Those Now, speaking about marketers and folks who continue to use Sitefinity, we have Ellie. In fact, Ellie has been our MC for this webinar. She's the organizer of this webinar. You may have received a couple of emails and invitations to join workshops, or maybe you've subscribed for her monthly newsletter. So Ellie's working on a number of pages. I will start a page, she will continue, or maybe the other way around, or maybe she will pick content from here and there and say, hey, let's promote it, let's amplify it. So she will need she will need to use an image from time to time. And sometimes, because there are like 50, 100 people using the backend, in the backend, image search might get messy, meaning we upload hundreds of images on a weekly basis. Some of them don't have titles, some of them don't have properties, some of them are not put in the right library. So Julian, this next demo that you're going to do is, I think that is one of my favorite, because it can save me so much time when I'm working on a page that has dozens and dozens of images. So please show it to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So even the most disciplined customers that really work well with image libraries, with media libraries, eventually will find themselves in a situation where they might be overwhelmed with images, where people are not adhering to the suggested media libraries, where really it's hard to find images and you will end up with duplicates. I can even spot duplicates here in our little sample page. So it really becomes quite an effort of enforcing metadata rules, alt texts and all that, proper image descriptions. So what we can do in 15.3 now is we can actually index or change the backend search index to include a visual search using Microsoft Cognitive Services. And back to our content editing exercise, right? This image is a bit, I wouldn't say lame, but it doesn't really evoke anything, right, in terms of emotions. So if we want to change that, and this is the cool thing about section presets, once I added the section preset to the page, it's just a collection of widgets. I can now modify it as I see fit and then save it as a new section preset if I so want to. But what I want to do is find a more appropriate image for my call to action. So I've been looking for happy people, and clearly it found those. They are celebrating something, and here these are diners, so very likely diners, so much more appropriate for our restaurant scenario. And you can see there's nothing in the title or alt text or file name, anything indicating happy or people, anything. So this is really cognitive search picking up on the contents of the image. And now I can just add that, swap this out, and save this. And there we go. Much more appealing, much more the emotions we want to evoke maybe when talking about our Coriander Lane brand. And now I can publish this, or I can just, in relation to the earlier demo, I can grab the entire section and turn that into a new section preset if I so wanted. Back to you, Alex.
It's amazing. Thank you very much. I think that this is a great capability. The more images you have in the library, the better it gets, because obviously AI will have so much more to work with, and it will be much easier for everyone to pick, to find the images that you're looking for. Happy people, spring vibes, spring awakening, concepts that are normally hard to, I would say, describe, or you don't have enough time to describe or give proper naming to, can be now indexed in by AI and can be retrieved by AI. And especially when designers work with these kind of images where they want to communicate emotion, the search will be much easier and is guaranteed to bring you results. It's available for Sitefinity Cloud customers, and it will require the packaged AI service that we've released now. So unfortunately, it's not at the moment available to our self-hosted customers, and you need to be aware of this. Now that we've built this page, So what we did, we optimized the page. We added a form or a CTA. We used section presets. We used smart image search, and we've published the page. Now we have Fernanda, and Fernanda is our field marketing manager. At some point, she will want to boost the performance of her local campaigns, meaning that she will want to localize her content quickly, efficiently. Remember, a product release might be today, and chances are that marketing has been working during the night on putting last touches to a page or two or a dozen pages. So Fernanda cannot go to an external agency and ask for help because of time zone differences, because of lengthy processes, because of, even if you will, procurement or payments dependencies. So, Julian, if Fernanda wants to localize this About Us or company page, what are her options to do so using Sitefinity? And I know that
I have my task today is quite easy because a lot of the things we're showing are really click of a button type stuff, and this is just the same really, in that we have added the translation service, machine translation service from Microsoft, and so this is really click of a button. You could write your copy in Gen AI directly in a target language, but I mean, we have all the multilingual management capabilities within the Sitefinity content management system, and so let's use them. What we could do with our new company page, as we can see, we have an English, the website is available in English and in Spanish, and so we could actually now straight away translate our newly drafted company page because we love it, and we can do that on the click of a button right from the context menu here. So we can go send for translation into Spanish, could mark it for translation for later translation, but here I'm sending it directly. And I'm going to do XLive is a commonly used format for different translation tools and actually translation agencies. But here, this is newly available directly within Sitefinity as a NuGet package, the machine translator from Microsoft, and we send it there. And you just need to do a bit of configuration. It's bring your own subscription, but then this is available. And this works not just for pages, this obviously also works for content items. So we can actually go ahead and publish. We can now see from here, it will be available in Spanish in a second, unless the demo gods really are mean to me again. It might be that they are mean to me again. Let me double check. Let's see what might have happened. Let's try this again. And it's now translating. But I can also show you that it doesn't just work for pages, but it also works for content items. So here we have a news article, Coriander Lane opens location in New York, which is also only available in English. And if we wanted that in Spanish, then we can do it just like that. Send for translation to Spanish, send now. I think it's a bit quicker because the page sends a bit longer payload. So I'm just going to do this here. And we'll see in short time, it's available in Spanish. I don't speak it personally, but that sounds about right. And New York, maybe that should remain New York, I don't know. But this is very much Spanish. So as you can see, massive improvement over exporting XLive, over manually putting it in translation tools, copy pasting back and forth, click of a button again. Translation works right out of the box using the existing translation facilities in Sitefinity.
Can I pair it with approval workflow so it still goes through approval?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. This could be in draft stage now. I don't have a workflow activated here, but yes, for sure.
All right, that's good to know because sometimes you still need someone, for example, native speaker, to have a look at it. I mean, AI translators are getting better and better by the day, but sometimes a human touch is it's all it takes to make it perfect. Yeah.
If you allow, because I skipped over it before when we were talking workflows, because you brought it up now, we can, because this is one of my favorite AI topics, right? We had covered Gen AI, we had covered AI text improvement. We now have AI-based image search, translation. What if we want to come up with our own sort of workflows? What for example, when processing form submissions, because that was the goal of our whole undertaking here, right? Was to improve our company page so that people are more inclined to convert by contacting us. So what should actually happen when they contact us, right? Do we want to use AI here to become a bit more responsive? And with Sitefinity, the Sitefinity 15 line, let's call it that, we have Integration Hub available. And this is another place that is often overlooked where you can add AI to your Sitefinity landscape. And in that case, what we can do when we look at the Contact Us page, here it's a simple form, just a couple of fields to fill in. And what if we check the type of feedback we receive, so the sentiment of the feedback, and based on that, provide an answer. And for that, we can switch over to Integration Hub. And this gives us a very simple workflow engine, so to say, to react to events in Sitefinity. I'm going to do this full screen quickly, and I think it looks a bit convoluted right now, but it's actually quite easy to understand. We have trigger events, for example, a submitted form in Sitefinity, an updated page, an updated translation, if you want, going back to your example. And based on that data, we want to do something, and we're using, in this case, OpenAI directly from OpenAI.com, not Microsoft, and we're doing a text classification. We're checking the sentiment of the feedback of the message that was sent to us via the Contact Us form. And if that sentiment, and here again, this is AI, right? We're classifying this text, is it positive or negative? And based on that, we want to do different things. And because we at Progress, we really can't deal with negative feedback. We only want to see positive feedback. So we're using AI to react to that negative feedback. And in that case, we're asking AI to draft our response email. So you are a corporate restaurant franchise, Korea on the Lane, communications employee called Julesen, politely respond to the following feedback to our website. And then we're sending that email from our Outlook account. And just to prove that this indeed works, let's quickly fill in this form. I'm going to send an email effectively to myself here, which is fine. And this is indeed negative feedback. So we're going to use a subject, waiter was distracted. And the feedback is something like, instead of serving us, the waiter kept repeating feature highlights of the recent Sitefinity 15.3 release. That's obviously not what you want when you visit a restaurant. So once we send this message, I can now check my Outlook and wait for an email to arrive. It should push through in a second. Essentially, I'm sending an email to myself. You get this. Yeah, there is the current version. Let's see, 11.12. Dear valued customer, thank you for taking the time to provide feedback on your recent visit to Korea on the Lane. We sincerely apologize for the experience. We understand that instead of attending to your needs, the waiter was distracted and repeatedly highlighted the features of the recent Sitefinity 15.3 release. Were you in a restaurant, Alex?
I was there, and I have to agree with the customer that they had this negative feedback, but there's no such thing as negative feedback. There's always an opportunity to improve. So anything that you can do to understand where things are going, how customers are interacting with your brand is something that we can learn from and take to our advantage. The IT translation, the AI translation is available to anyone. You need to bring your own key, obviously, but it's available to on-prem customers, self-hosted as well as in the cloud. So this is something that you can easily try and test to see whether it works. And it goes hand in hand with another topic, and this is the topic of making campaigns more more successful, understanding how people interact with your brand, with your company. And Naveen is our manager of demand generation, and he's particularly interested in public reviews, in how people react on social media, how they interact with our brands, about the quality of leads that we receive about our products. So for him, it's really important to learn more about the common touch points, the conversion points, the opportunities in the uplift, the what kind of content attributes to drive in more pipeline, etc. So in this regard, oops, and I think that I need to go here. A great way to deep dive into data-driven marketing or understanding how your audience is performing is perhaps to learn more about, to start using Sitefinity Insight. Everyone has access to Sitefinity Insight. If you haven't tried it, you feel free to log in and request access to it, so you can start defining conversions, creating touch points, set up personas. It will give you a lot of information similar to Google Analytics, but also give you a lot more tools to understand and deep dive into AI reports, as well as things like audience performance, segmentations, all those goodies that are must for data-driven organizations. So with this in mind, we have created an onboarding, which is available for both first-time users and Sitefinity Insight customers. It's not designed to replace the customer success onboarding or the jumpstart onboarding when you upgrade to the premium plan, but is also a set of lessons, short lessons that will walk you through some of the concepts. So it's a tool that shouldn't miss. So go ahead and give it a try, or point your customers if you're a progress partner or a digital agency working on customer websites. There are a number of things, there were a number of capabilities that we've discussed. We've seen some AI, and we understand that many of our customers are still using slightly older versions of Sitefinity, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a fantastic platform. I've been using it for 10 years. I really enjoy working on 30.3, 40.4, and I've started using 50.1, 2, and 3 at the moment. I really appreciate where the product is going. But I know that depending on your business model, on your upgrade cycle, you might have certain challenges, or maybe you need to plan ahead an upgrade, and so you're weighting the pros and cons of going in this direction. Obviously, there's always pros, but also I know that there are conversations that you need to have internally within your company and externally with your implementation partner if you have one. So I think that Julian did a quick recap early on in the webinar about what's in Sitefinity 15.123 line, and it's better AI support, multi-renderer support, and Next.js front-end support, CDP tools that are available through Sitefinity Insight, as well as he demoed the integration hub that is available to customers on the later version of Sitefinity, meaning 15 family and I think 40.4, as well as goodies for the content editors like me, like the customizable backend dashboards and site sync for everyone, meaning that I can safely sync content, work locally in my testing environment, and go and sync my content to the website without risking integrity or potentially causing a problem there with messaging that is not ready to go. There are multiple capabilities that are worth considering. And speaking about what's available in terms of Gen AI capabilities, here's a quick grid. It will be available on our website later today. But you need, if you're really wondering whether you can use it, and if you're currently using Sitefinity DX, that's the AI tools that are available to you right away. For more information, obviously talk to your account managers for details, because there might be certain dependencies that you might want to discuss. What we want to do, and what I like to do, is to see our partners building great websites for our customers. It's amazing to see a great brand using Sitefinity, and it's given me so much joy to see a website that is done in a way that really attracts a lot of attention, attracts a lot of traffic, and clearly serves its purpose to drive engagement and generate business. And it's amazing. And this is something that you may or may not have thought about. I did mention early on that Google is changing the way they probably rank results, paying more attention to their own AI snippets. ChatGPT, OpenAI are also trying to keep you in their ecosystem. Bing is also exploring the opportunity to have those AI-enabled features and snippets. So what can you do if you are a business that still relies on free traffic, so to speak, and you rely on Google or any other sources to reduce the cost of acquisition cost? So one way to do is SEO, and one aspect of SEO is optimizing the front end. And in fact, I've seen some of our customers who've optimized their front end and have migrated to ASP.NET Core as well as Next.js, meeting the strictest guidelines for web vitals. That means websites are snappier, websites load faster, websites are more responsive, they're more accessible, and this results in higher and better placement in, or at least contributes to better placement in search engine rankings, as well to add scores, meaning lower costs for paid campaigns. So technology is as important as the new features, because while, for example, new features like Gen AI and things, goodies like this can help me as a content creator, it is the technology benefits of the modern framework that can help you improve the vitals, improve the performance of the website. Now, you might have seen this particular slide. If you have attended our upgrade webinar, I think we did it about 2 months ago. But here's a refresher. If you're considering an upgrade, here's the grade of the most popular versions, the supported versions, currently supported versions, and what technology it is supported. And here's where I'm going to ask Julian about an advice. What if I'm on 13.x or maybe even on the LTS 13.3 and I want to migrate or modernize my front end and obviously unlock all those AI capabilities that you demoed? So, Julian, I need your help to decode this slide and to make it marketer friendly.
I could just answer it with it depends, of course, but that would not cut it in this case. No, I mean, you ought to get onto 14.4 because then you have the renderer, and the beauty of the renderer is it still supports via the proxying mechanism that's there. It still supports MVC views. Between us, most of your web forms painters might work as well, but we strongly discourage it because it's not officially supported anymore. So really, we recommend to get at least on the latest LTS, which currently is 14.4, as an update step. There are some deprecations, which we, of course, document well, and to get you on that journey, but that is maybe the single recommendation I can give, because then you can gradually introduce the new renderer without having to immediately migrate all your MVC-based pages.
Yeah, you've been discussing some magic with our engineering team and other tech gurus within our company. What do we need to know about the migration tool? Where is that at the moment? And
it's in a good place. So we have analysis, right? And this is what we're seeing, and I think that was also part of the upgrade webinar, is it really browses and recursively does so through all your pages, all your templates, all your widgets, lists the technology used, lists dependencies, right? Page XYZ is based on template ABC, which in turn is based on the default template, and so on, and it has the following 23 widgets. So it's a great analysis tool, and in complementing this, there is now functionality in the Sitefinity command line client. Don't be deterred. You see the command here. It's essentially calling SF migrate, and then SF migrate allows you to migrate pages or start with templates. Again, would do it recursively. Here in this example, you can see this one command has migrated 2 templates because the migra test template is dependent on the default template, so it migrated both. Some assembly required, so we don't want to say, okay, run SF migrate and magically your entire project is now ASP.NET Core, for example. no, there are steps required. There is you need to map widgets. You need to look into mapping templates so that they put, for example, header and footer in the correct place in the target template. There is some assembly required, but it can be a great starting point once you have.
So here's the question: we will speed up the upgrades or migration to a new technology. Will we help you? This is a question from a business user like me.
Yes, and it will be more reliable. So there is a speed up aspect, and you're more likely to catch, to catch pages that you didn't have in view, or to catch problems early on. Because, for example, if there is a widget that doesn't map to the new one, it will clearly show, hey, this widget isn't mapped, and it will be in big orange letters or something in the template. So it is also a quality tool.
Nice. Nice. Let's wrap this webinar on a positive note. Look at this smile, someone who is really enjoying what they're doing. And it's a success story that is available on our website. And I love it because it's a true example of how by upgrading to a new modern technology, still keeping all the benefits that Sitefinity has to offer, the US women have been able to meet a huge spike in traffic during the 2024 Olympics and 2024, yeah, Olympics. And they saw a huge increase in users and a huge increase in website sessions without any downtime, without any slowdowns, without any hiccups. So Sitefinity 15.3 in the entire, I would say, product line is not only about features, but also the opportunity that come with cloud hosting, with cloud deployment, with the upgraded performance. If you really want to scale until infinity, you can count on Sitefinity to do this. And yes, we'd love to hear your stories, and we'd love to hear your feedback.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.